They scanned her ID and laughed until the emblem lit up like a sun in the dark. The scanner gave its usual cheerful beep, followed by a flicker on the screen. One of the officers smirked, squinting at the weathered ID card in his hand. "Ma'am, this can't be right," he said, the corners of his mouth twitching with amusement. Selverus Memorial doesn't hand out clearances like this. His partner chuckled as well, nodding in agreement. They were halfway through a routine check, and this elderly woman in her navy blue blazer looked like someone's sweet grandmother, not a high clearance staff member. But then the laughter stopped. The screen pulsed once, twice, and then bloomed into a soft golden glow. An emblem emerged from the light, a heart delicately cradled between a pair of wings. Its lines precise and unmistakably sacred. It was beautiful, ancient, powerful. The officers froze. Their amusement melted into silence, their eyes wide with something between reverence and disbelief. One of them unconsciously lowered his voice, almost whispering, "Is that real?" The woman didn't flinch. She simply smiled. A knowing, serene smile. Later, they would try to explain what they saw. Some would say it was a system glitch. Others would insist the emblem didn't mean anything, just a ceremonial tag, maybe a relic from a forgotten database. But those two officers would remember exactly how it felt to stand in front of her. They would remember the awe. Her name was Margaret Doyle, Maggie to almost everyone at Silver's Memorial. To the untrained eye, she was just a kind, silver-haired nurse who brought homemade cookies to the night shift and sat quietly with patients who had no visitors. She was the gentle soul who remembered birthdays, sang lullabies when no one else would, and always seemed to appear when things were at their worst. But behind the unassuming warmth was something far more extraordinary. What no one knew, what no one was ever meant to know, was that Maggie was on the Guardian list. Not many even knew such a thing existed. A secret registry known only to a few high-level administrators, reserved for those rare individuals whose acts of compassion had gone far beyond duty. People who had, time and time again, been exactly what someone needed at the precise moment they needed it most. And no one was ever supposed to scan her ID. It had all started with a simple mistake. There was a child missing from the pediatric ward, a little girl who'd wandered away when a nurse stepped out of the room. Panic hadn't yet set in, but protocol required a sweep. The officers were canvassing the staff wing when they saw Maggie walking calmly down the hall. "Excuse." May we see your ID?" She handed it over without question, without hesitation. That was when the scanner lit up. That was when everything changed. The golden emblem triggered a soft chime that echoed through the hallway speakers. Somewhere deep in the hospital system, a dormant file awakened, a quiet alert whispering to those who knew what to listen for. And then, from somewhere down the hall, a small giggle floated through the silence. Maggie turned her head toward the sound, her eyes softening with recognition. "She's this way," she said simply. The officers exchanged a glance, but followed. Maggie led them around the corner, past the nurse's lounge and an old storage closet. There, by the far window, sat the missing girl, perched on the sill and hugging a worn stuffed rabbit to her chest. She was calm, almost peaceful. Beside her on the windowsill sat a framed photograph, dusty and slightly tilted. The image showed a younger Maggie, decades earlier, holding a newborn baby in her arms. That baby was the girl's mother. One of the officers murmured, "How did you know she'd be here?" Maggie walked slowly to the child and knelt beside her. She brushed a lock of hair from the girl's face and said, without looking up, "I always find my way to those who need me." The girl hadn't been lost. She had gone to the safest place she could think of. And Maggie had been waiting. By morning, the officers would try to explain it all. The glowing ID, the impossible clearance, the child who was never really missing. Some would listen, some would scoff. But the story would spread, whispered among the hospital staff like legend. And Maggie? She returned to her station before sunrise. Humming softly, she took her place behind the reception desk, scribbled a few notes, and added one more name to the quiet list she kept locked in her heart. The hospital moved on as it always had, buzzing, busy, full of life and loss. But there was a warmth that lingered in the halls that day, a lightness in the air, just the way Maggie always left it.